Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at 20 champions that will save you from low elo for season 9. So I'm going to be giving you guys 4 champions for every single role. We're going to go over every single role in the video, and without any further ado, let's get started. And if you do want to skip to a certain role in the video, then I will have some timestamps down below in the comments and in the description to where each of the roles start. And just before we get started, I am super excited to announce that I am teaming up with Quarterback, and I do have my own club on Quarterback now. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Quarterback, basically you join challenges like max kills, max assists. If you win these challenges in game, you get coins, and with these coins you can pretty much unlock any, or you can unlock any skin in the game that is available. So it's just a very easy way for you to just play League like you normally do and unlock free skins. Now for this week, what they're doing is 1 trophy is going to equal 15 coins as long as you get 500 trophies, which definitely is not very hard to do. As long as you are playing throughout the week, then you should pretty easily be able to get 500 trophies, and that's going to equate to 7.5k coins, which is really good. Silas is already available to purchase on Quarterback as well, so if you can get a ton of coins this week, then you will be able to purchase him. And as a little incentive for you guys to join my club, I'll be giving away RP prizes for the top 5 members of the club for this upcoming season, which starts in 43 hours. So 20 RP for number 1 and number 2, and I'll give $10 of RP for number 3, 4, and 5. And if you do join my Discord, then you will have more information on how you can end up obtaining your RP prizes if you do win. So if you guys are interested in getting free skins for just playing the game how you normally would, then be sure to check out my link down in the description below. So we're going to start off in the top lane, and then we'll make our way down to the bot lane. So first up in the top lane is going to be Yorick, and if there's one champion I would recommend you guys play right now at the start of season 9, it would 100% be Yorick. So Yorick is just a super good pick right now. After the quality of life changes he got in this patch, they're just really helping him out. He's a champion for solo queue that if you can get a little bit of a lead in the early game with him, your ability to solo Rift Herald at 10 minutes is super easy to do with your Maiden. Your ability to put that Rift Herald down your lane and look to just keep split pushing, and 1v2 is great once you get Trinity Force, and especially once you get Sterix. If you have your Maiden up, your 1v2 potential is some of the best for any split pushing champion, so he's also just pretty easy to execute as well, which makes him a great pick for lower elos. So number 2 for the top lane is going to be Pantheon, and I just recently had Pantheon in my S tier for my top lane tier list, so I'm not going to go too much into detail about him, but basically he's just very good for the current meta, great early game snowball champion in the top lane. Win your lane with Pantheon, use your ultimate around the map, and you're really going to be able to snowball the game out of control. Now for runes on Pantheon, go Aftershock if you're against melee bruisers. So if you're against someone like a Jax, a Riven, Aftershock is just really good against those champions. If you are in a very easy matchup though, or if you are against ranged top laners, then I would be going Electrocute. So number 3 here is going to be Sion. So I did recently also have Sion in my S tier for 9.2. Sion is just a very consistent top lane pick. Sunfire Cape buffs in this patch really help him out. He's a tank that does a ton of damage as well, and the combination of being tanky, having a lot of crowd control, and also dealing damage makes him a very good pick for solo queue. And then number 4 to round out top lane here is going to be Nasus. So Nasus, another pick that I did have in my S tier for 9.2. Nasus is an insanely good pick after the Q buffs he got. I think it was in 9.1. It might have been 824B, but I'm not 100% sure. Nevertheless though, those Q buffs really did help out Nasus a ton. It just allows him to reach his mid to late game spike a lot sooner. It allows him to be relevant a lot earlier on into games, and because lower elo games do tend to last a little bit longer, you're gonna be able to get your stacks on Nasus, and you're gonna be a complete monster once you do reach that mid to late game. So if we move into the jungle now, first up here is going to be Rammus. So Rammus is just a very consistent pick for the lower elos because he's another one of those champions who's tanky, he does a lot of damage, he also has really good crowd control, so those 3 things combined make him a great pick for the lower elos. He also does have very easy to execute ganks. With Rammus, when you're coming in, get your knock up with your Q, throw your taunt in, you're not really going to be able to mess that combo up as long as you play a couple games on Rammus, so he's very easy to pick up. He's also a super good pick for solo queue, and especially for the lower elos with the Moby Boots and Righteous Glory build. That build just allows you to find picks really nicely in the mid game, and you can just find the enemies caught out of position, pop your Righteous Glory, get in there with your Mobies, and just start one-shotting squishy targets on the enemy team. So number 2 in the jungle is going to be Shyvana, and Shyvana got some very nice buffs in this patch, especially for the lower elos. So she got a buff to where she now does 20% extra damage to Dragon, to Rift Herald, and to Baron. So this just allows Shyvana to melt Dragon in the early game. Players aren't going to be playing around Dragon and controlling Dragon as much in the lower elos, so it just allows Shyvana to very easily secure those objectives. She also got another buff in this patch to her E, so 2 buffs combined do make Shyvana a lot stronger, and then she's just overall a pretty easy to execute champion, has a very fast clear speed in the early game, so she is a great pick for the lower elos. So number 3 is going to be Xin Zhao, and all you got to do with Xin Zhao to find ELO for Season 9 is level 2 gank. This champion is just very brain dead when it comes to like his early game pathing. What you're going to want to do pretty much every single game is just take red buff, and then depending on what side you're on, level 2 gank bot lane or level 2 gank top lane, and the enemies are just not going to expect it. They should expect it because Xin Zhao has been meta for a very long time, but a lot of players are still just not going to respect the level 2 Xin Zhao gank, and if you can pull those off successfully, you're going to have a lot of success with Xin Zhao for Season 9. And then number 4 in the jungle is going to be Jarvan. So Jarvan got a really nice buff in this patch to his E. He now gets 5% more attack speed from that ability, and it just allows him to clear a lot faster now in the early game. It makes his clear a lot healthier. It also gives him better dueling potential in the early game, and Jarvan is a champion for the lower elos. I just think is a really good pick because once you grab your warrior, once you grab your black cleaver, because Jarvan has insane engage range, it allows you to very easily find picks on enemy squishy targets that are out of position, and because lower elo players aren't going to be positioning super well a lot of the time, you're going to very often be able to find those picks, one-shot squishy targets, and if you can find those picks like before a team fight starts, then you're going to be able to give your team the advantage and just have a lot of success with the Jarvan pick. So if we move into the mid lane now, first up here is going to be Cassiopeia. So if this were last season, I definitely would not have Cassiopeia on this list, but because of this new version of Cassiopeia, the Qmax Cassiopeia, it's just a lot easier to execute. You don't really need to be able to kite around super well in team fights with this new Cassiopeia. Because your Q is on such a short cooldown, it just gives you a really good poke. It does a ton of damage. She's a champion that has a strong early game, also scales very well into the late game, so there's not a ton of weaknesses to this champion, which does make her a great consistent pick for the lower ranks. So number 2 is going to be Veigar. Not too much to say about this champion. I think this champion is just a super good pick for the lower ranks because he scales infinitely into the mid to late game. You're always going to be useful on the champion as long as you can keep getting your Q stacks in the early game. You have a point and click ability that can do over 1k damage in the late game. So even if the enemy team does have a very fed member, if they got like a fed assassin, a fed Kha'Zix on their team, as long as you can just press R on him in a team fight, then your job is done, and you are going to be able to just provide a lot for your team once you do reach the team fight stage. Number 3 here is going to be Malzahar, and pretty similar to Veigar, Malz is just a great, simple, pretty easy to execute champion for the lower elos. You're going to be able to have great teamfight presence with the champion no matter how far you fall behind in the early game. His ultimate is just such an easy tool to use. It allows him to skirmish super well once he does hit level 6. It allows him to find picks in the mid to late game, and because in the lower elos, you do find players playing a lot of these champions that are dive champions that want to just get onto the back line. Malz's ultimate does a great job at countering those picks like the Yasuo, the Lee Sin, the Kha'Zix, and the Rengar. And then number 4 here is going to be Lux. So I just think that Lux for the lower elos is a pretty consistent pick, mainly because she's a champion that has very long range ability. She's got a pick ability with her Q that's on a pretty short cooldown once you get 40% CDR. Her E is also on a pretty short cooldown, and then because of your reset mechanic with your ultimate, you're always going to have the potential to deal a lot of damage very quickly. So because team fights are going to be happening a lot, and because you're going to be fighting a lot of the time in the lower elos, because of Lux's consistent damage, it does make her a very strong pick. So for AD carry, Misfortune, always going to be a very good pick for the lower rank. She's always going to be the pick that most people are going to recommend to you if you're looking to climb out a lower elo. She just does a ton of consistent damage in the mid to late game. You're always going to be relevant on the pick due to her strong AoE damage. Now, I would recommend running Comet on her instead of Dark Harvest right now. Dark Harvest did end up getting nerfed quite a bit and is just not very good on too many champions anymore. So by taking the Comet, it does give you just a much stronger early game. So number 2 is going to be Sivir, and Sivir is kind of similar to Misfortune in the sense that you're always going to be somewhat relevant on the pick. You provide a good amount of wave clear for your team, so if you do fall behind in the early game, you do have a pretty good stalling mechanic in your kit. You also do provide your team with good teamfight potential because of her ultimate, so even if you're not doing too well with Sivir, as long as you can pop your ultimate in a team fight, then you are going to be able to at least provide something for your team. Also, she did get a buff a few patches ago, so things are looking really good right now for Sivir for the lower elos. So number 3 for AD carry is going to be Jinx, and I just really like Jinx right now for the lower elos because when you take a look at the most picked supports, you have Thresh, Morgana, Pyke, Alistar, Zyra, just really good supports that synergize great with Jinx. If you get a Thresh hook into a Jinx bind, into a Jinx slow, you're going to get a kill in the early game. You're going to be able to snowball the laning phase out of control. Jinx also does have one of the strongest mid-game team fights for any AD carry. Players are going to tend to bunch up a lot more in the lower elos, and if you can get your rockets out, if you can get some AoE crits, then you're gonna destroy team fights with Jinx. And then number 4 here is going to be one that you guys probably would not expect too much, but it's going to be Yasuo bot lane, and hear me out on this one. Yasuo bot lane right now is a very good pick for this meta. When you take a look at the most picked supports right now, you have aggro supports being played a ton in the bot lane. You have Thresh, Blitzcrank, Leona, Pyke, Morgana, Alistar. These champions make up like 70% of the supports being played right now, and you're rarely seeing champions that would do a good job at countering Yasuo, like the Braum, the Lulu, the Janna. Those supports are being played very rarely right now, so it just allows Yasuo bot lane to succeed a lot for this current meta. What you want to look to do on this Yasuo bot pick is just try to play pretty safe until you hit level 3. Your level 3 spike is insanely good. You have an insane all-in at level 3 because you can block pretty much all of the enemy's damage with your wind wall. If your support can just engage with you and land their CC ability, then you have a ton of follow-up damage. You're going to run the exhaust on this Yasuo, so you just throw down the exhaust. They're going to be slowed. They're going to deal no damage, and you're all in with this pick at level 3, and at level 6 as well is insanely good. And then last but definitely not least, for support, the first one up here is going to be Zyra, and Zyra is a champion that can solo carry from the support role, which you can't say for a lot of support champions, especially for the lower elos, but Zyra just does a ton of damage. Now, one thing I'd recommend doing is instead of running Dark Harvest, run Comet on Zyra. It's just going to be a lot more consistent on her. It's going to give her a stronger early game, and Dark Harvest, like I said for Misfortune, after the nerfs, it's just not doing super well anymore. So number 2 is going to be Brand, and Brand is super similar to Zyra. He's got a great team fight, great laning phase, a solo carry champion down in the support role. So if you are looking to carry from support, then Brand is going to be another great pick. I would recommend still running Dark Harvest on Brand. The reason to why Comet is a little bit better on Zyra is because you're going to be able to consistently land it due to the fact that you got a slow in your kit, you got a root, so you're going to be landing the Comet a lot more in the laning phase, whereas with Brand, because you only have the stun, which isn't super consistent, and you're not always going to be hitting it, the Comet is not always going to land, so it's not going to be as consistent for you. Next up is going to be Morgana, and Morgana just overall is a very good pick for any elo right now because she counters a lot of the meta support champions. She also does have very good pick potential with her bind, so if you get ahead in the early game with Morgana, what you want to look to do is just try to control vision. The enemies are going to have to face check into you if they want to contest objectives, and if they do that, you're going to get picks with your bind. You're going to transition that into a kill, into objectives, and into wins with Morgana. Number 4 here to round out the video for support is going to be Sona. So Sona's a much better pick for the lower elos in my opinion than for the higher elos because her weaker early game is not going to go as punished. She also does have an insanely good mid to late game. Like Sona's utility she provides for her team in mid to late game team fights is very, very good. She has her AoE speed ups with her E, she's got her AoE shields with her W, and she's got her heals as well. So she just provides so much utility for her team, and she can single-handedly win team fights in the mid to late game. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. Those were 20 champions here for season 9 that should save you from the lower elos. Pick one of these champions depending on the role that you play. Look to spam them in solo queue and you should be finding a lot of success for season 9. So that being said, guys, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. Thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.